welcome to State of the Arts. I'm Jason Hedden, and in this series we like to talk to some of the movers and shakers in the local art scene. My guest today is artist and librarian Sarah Burris. Sarah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so glad you're here. So give me a little bit of a background. When you introduce someone as an artist and a librarian, which came first? Are you, or do people make you choose? Do you want to be an artist or do you want to be a librarian? Which is it?
Yes, I feel I'm equally both an artist and a librarian. Both fields fit me, my personality and my skill sets. A lot of artists are organized and archival in nature, and I think my artwork kind of has that. And then it kind of goes into the library science side of things. But I have a MFA from Kent State University up in Ohio. And then I received that first, and then I worked for a little while as a display artist, and then went back to school for library science.
Awesome. And you have roots in Bay County, right? You went to school here, Bay District Schools? Rutherford? Okay.
I grew up in the area, and I love Panama City, so I wanted to come back.
Okay. Well, I mean, that story is, I keep hearing that story again. I'm in a similar situation where I was here and then moved away for 10 years and then came back. And one of the things that's exciting is people are coming back to find a culture and art scene that is growing, or they're coming back to help with that growth, which is even more exciting. I talked to a colleague recently who was going to move here, and he asked, you know, what's trying to get the lay of the land. This is Nathaniel Fisher with Emerald Coast Theater Company. And this was 5 years ago, and I said, well, there is the fertile ground, you know, for a professional theater company. There's not one that exists. We've got Seaside Repertory Theater, but other than that, that was kind of it. So I keep hearing these stories again and again where people are going off, having these experiences, and then they're coming back and being an integral part of the fabric of the growth of the arts and culture, which is really sort of exciting to see.
It's bubbling up, which I always try, because people are like, there's no culture here. And I'm like, no, there is, and it's fantastic. And you just have to find those small bubbles that are really bursting out. Yeah. Like Floriopolis, the City Arts Co-op. All of these have really vibrant things happening.
Right,
if you
Panama
want to be
City
involved.
Center for the Arts.
Oh, yes, yes.
We plug this on this program a lot, but the one-stop shop to go, an online arts and events calendar, is bayartsevents.com. So bayartsevents.com, go there for all these things that we're talking about.
And the library is even plugging our events in there.
I noticed that. That's great. Well, you all have fantastic cultural opportunities. So give me an example of some of the kinds of things that y'all do at the library that people might not expect to find at the library in terms of arts and culture.
Well, first, we have a color fest that happens every first Friday of the month. I think it's like in the morning, but all the supplies are provided. It's adult coloring, which has been really popular, so it's free. You can bring your coffee and come and color and just chat. So it's very casual and a lot of fun. We have exhibits that rotate on a monthly basis, so new things are always happening. And I'm bringing in art books into the library. I'm trying to boost our art collection of books, and so certain artists include like Kyene Wiley, who's really huge right now, and like Sally Mann or Diane Arbus, or we have a long list of contemporary artists to check out. And the other thing is I run the Book to Film Club, which is called Beyond the Lens.
Okay.
Sometimes there are PBS documentaries, so the next one coming up is the PBS documentary. And then sometimes there are more popular films that are based on a book, and that's monthly. And so to check that out as well.
Yeah, fantastic. What's the website for the library?
www.nwrls.com.
Okay. Very good. So I want to pick up on that adult coloring book phenomenon.
Yes.
I mean, that really is like become a real thing. Yeah,
it's relaxing.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What do you think the draw is?
Yeah, I think
the draw. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I think part of it is the meditative quality, and then when it's at the library, there's also the social aspect. So it's almost like a quilting group where you get together and you're chatting, and then you're also making art.
Now, do you have some regulars that come that have, you know, like in any of those sort of social circles, you've got do you have some folks with their own materials that they bring?
Yes, they bring them in, they're ready,
serious.
and then we have everything as well. So you could come in fresh without any experience.
Well, what I love about it is it's reconnecting some people to a side of their creativity and imagination that maybe has been living dormant for years. I was just talking to Heather at Floriopolis recently, and they had a graduation party there. And so all the seniors or recent graduates were there, and they had 6 different stations of different art projects that you could take part in. And the students were right in there. But there were a lot of sort of older adults that were on the periphery that, oh no, I don't want to, I'd mess it up. I would, and we were talking about something might have happened at some point in their creative lifetime where someone said, no, that's not good enough, or no, that's not. And I think it's allowing people to reconnect with an innocence, a creativity that for whatever reason has been dormant for a while.
I agree. There is a hesitation for a lot of adults to just jump in if they haven't been doing creative things for a while. Because sometimes I help Heather with the art on the spot that happens every Saturday, and you see that there as well. But when they jump in, they have a lot of fun. So it's just learning that being creative can be a lot of fun, and it is a social thing.
Yeah. Well, talk a little bit about your artwork. You've been part of an exhibit here at Gulf Coast State College, and you work a lot with sort of mixed media, and some collage. Tell us a little bit about your style or the kind of media that you work with.
My media usually changes depending on the concept or whatever mood I'm in at that moment, so it's very flexible. The show that I had here was digital video. It was experimental film, and then I had tied in with artists that were across the globe, so I had even an artist from Australia come in and collaborate with me, and that show is traveling right now, which is really exciting. But my most recent show, I did collage work, and so there's elements that tie in. I really love things that are shiny, so glitter and gold leaf and things like that you're going to kind of see within my work. There's an element of femininity, but then there's also vulnerability as well that plays within the pieces, and it depends. I've done photography, I've done installation. I've worked not too long ago with Tessa Birch. We've been creating shows together, and we started one where we wanted to do an installation together and collaborate. And installation is not, it's sculptural, but it's set in a building setting, and then it's not as common to see. So in trying to bring it to Panama City, that this is an art form, even though it's not really sellable, if that makes sense.
Have you done any, no, it does make sense. Have you done any site-specific work in terms of?
We had a show maybe in February where we did a site-specific installation that was up for like a week, and so you really utilize that environment when building the installation and seeing your space. But it would be fun to do some things a little more permanent. So if anyone's interested, let us know.
Yeah, for sure. The annual cup show that we do here at the college every year, Pavel M. Roman and Jill and I were talking. We're going to try to maybe get some of the actors involved, and we're talking about sort of the psychology and sort of building a character, who would hold this cup. Because that's the thing too. You go to a cup show, and the first thing you want to do is like hold the cups. I mean, it's a cup.
And it's kind of part of the buying process. I have to try each cup and go, this one fits my hand perfectly.
Right.
I can imagine drinking something out of this cup.
Exactly. I bought one in the Pacific Northwest on vacation a couple of years ago that the artist actually made it such that the handle goes into the cup. And the idea is that it's sort of like a hand-warming mug. So it's half mug, half mitten. And there were different styles. There were righties and lefties. And, it's like trying on a pair of gloves almost. So you really did have to sort of, hold them before, test them out. Exactly. So we like that idea of sort of breaking. Obviously, we don't want people coming into every gallery in town and picking up artwork. But a cup, especially if it's meant, to be functional. So we're trying to encourage that by maybe we'll have some actors who are there and taking on personas, and tying in some cross-curriculum stuff. We're teaching movement techniques for the theater that's happening the same time as art shows in the fall. So that could be fun.
I like it.
So let's talk a little bit about some jobs that are available to folks who have training in the arts that maybe wouldn't come to people's mind immediately. You know what I mean? When people say, I talk to students all the time, you know, and one of the things I ask them when we're advising is, you know, how supportive is your network of, you know, family and friends of you studying art? And it's a mixed bag. But one of the things that I try to remind them is that a lot of these skill sets are transferable. And it's not, everyone who studies art doesn't necessarily become a solo visual artist. You know, and I know you've done work in other areas that are complementary. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can. One of the jobs I previously had was working for a retail store where I was the in-store artist, and so I would build installations and do all the signage, anything that kind of would draw your eye within the store. And so it was both the window displays as well as displays within the store, and they would kind of rotate them on like a quarterly basis, but a fast turnaround, and everything. I had like basically a small working shop in the back where with saws and hot glue guns and lots of hot glue guns and paint and everything in the back.
And this was a corporate chain store, right?
Yes.
So did you, how much, as the artist, how much flexibility did you have? So would a display vary from one store to the next?
It
Or,
would.
you know what I mean?
They wanted each store to be very unique. I worked for, it was the umbrella company for Urban Outfitters, so I worked for Anthropology. And I think a few other retail corporate stores do that. I think J. Crew might have some.
Okay.
And some, they travel. They will travel to store to store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we had the in-house, and we would stay at one store. And we would get prototypes and then adjust. And they would give us kind of like little words to kind of play with. So it needs to be sharp and have like a juxtaposition of such and such. And so and they would have maybe some materials that you could use, and then we would just go with it and run with it, and then do lots of sketches and get them approved. And the one that was approved, we would build.
That's awesome. And that
fun.
was right
yeah.
here.
And that was not here,
Oh,
but that was up in North Carolina. But they have stores throughout the country, and other retail stores do similar things.
Well, what about the museums? And you know, I think I go into a really well designed, you know, museum exhibit, and I'm like, this is the work of an artist. You know, this is not just research. This is, I mean, just the layout, the presentation of it.
And it takes a lot. Most of the museum workers, I've worked in 2 museums before, and a lot of the security staff, a lot of your installation staff do art on the side, and they're all artists, and they want to be there because they want to be surrounded by the art, and it's a really cool place to be. Even like your visitor services are usually artists on the side.
That's great to hear and to be reminded of. All right, so how long have you been back in Bay County?
I've been back in Bay County for maybe 3 years now.
Okay, all right. So from the time you were here before, we'll end with this question. We call the program State of the Arts. So what do you feel is the current state of the arts in our area?
I think that even within 3 years, I've seen more and more happening, and my calendar is always booked. I can always find something to do and be involved as well. There's always opportunities to show and be part of the art scene. So I think everyone just needs to get out there and find their bubble.
Yeah,
it's
you're
out
right.
there.
Get out there. Well, thank you, Sarah. I could talk to you all day, but we're about out of time.
Okay.
But thank you so much for sharing your time and your talents with us.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. This is Jason Hedden for State of the Arts, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.